Oh.
I thought the point of spring cleaning was to do it, when spring started, not like a month beforehand. Useless. Oh. Whoa. Hello, old friend. Right around the time I was going into middle school, every night before I went to bed, I would always put a tape in the VCR to record the shows on Adult Swim that aired too late for me to watch. Mostly it was just stuff like Family Guy and Futurama. Remember, I wasn't really that much into anime at this point. I've seen Dragon Ball Z, Yu Hakusho, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff, but I wasn't really paying much attention to where the animation was coming from. They were just shows, and I watched them because they were cool to me at the time. Anyway, so I ended up messing up the recording one night, though. Instead of recording for maybe about like an hour, I ended up like maxing out the recording for about 3.5 hours. Yeah, by the way, kids, VCR tapes are what we used to use to record before DVRs and TiVos were invented. Yeah, 3-hour time limit. That's crazy, right? That you can barely record 3 episodes of Doctor Who with that. Anyway, the next morning I woke up and I found that the tape extended much further than what I originally used to set it at, and I found something quite extraordinary. It was an anime entitled Fooly Cooly, and it was so unusual for me to watch this. Number one, because it was an Adult Swim, so it was much more mature situations that I was usually used to watching. And also, it was unlike practically every other anime I've seen up to that point. Keep in mind, up to this point, it was just shonen. It was just like the big bad guy being fought by the good guy, like Dragon Ball Z, like Goku fighting against Frieza, Yusuke fighting against Toguro, that this was different. It wasn't, the main character didn't have some over-the-top power. He wasn't trying to save the world. He was just a kid. And even more so, he was a kid that was around my age. I believe this happened to me in 2000, must have been 2004, 2005, so I was only about 11 or 12 years old at the time, and it was a great parallel to my life because I was right about to go into middle school, and I was really freaking nervous about that. I remember just having to go into this bigger building and it's new experiences that I wasn't used to. I was so used to having everything the same basic way for about maybe like 5 years, and everything's changing now, and I'm starting to grow up. I'm becoming a teenager. I have to start coming onto my own and realizing what I really want to do, just like who I am as an individual. And it might sound really strange to you whenever I say that Fooly Cooly is my favorite anime, because when most people watch it, they'll just watch it like, oh, well, I heard about this anime, I'm just going to take a look at it. Maybe some people might have memories of it like I do, but probably not in the exact same way. Fooly Cooly itself as an anime, what is it exactly? Is it a comedy? Maybe. Is it off the wall? Almost certainly. But really, there's so much symbolism and allegory that set the tone for becoming basically turning into adolescence in this series. It does a lot to contrast that, like Naota. He always goes around acting like he knows everything because at that time, basically kids think they do know everything. They're 12, they're 13, they got their hormones going. They thought, that they think like, oh, I know what's best for myself at this point in my life. And it's obvious that they don't, but they have this really steadfast attitude that they do. Boys do, anyway. Confusion about girls, that's something else that was really big here with Naota and contrasting to Mamimi and Haruko in both ways, like where he switches back and forth through the entire series, just like, I don't want this, and he's like, I do want this, and now he's like, I'm so confused, I don't understand. I think that's where the series really hit me, though. I think that's where it really got me, was this aspect of confusion, where it's okay to be confused. It's okay that none of this stuff that's going on in your life makes any sense. It's fine, because that's normal. You'll all figure. It'll come to fruition eventually, and there's probably still some stuff that I am confused about, honestly. But at this time of your life, that is the aspect that you have to understand the most. It's not a straight path for everybody. It's not going to be the same. You just have to move on and just kind of piece it together as you go along. And it's like a puzzle in that situation. You start off with a completely blank slate. You have no idea where to start, but you start adding in the pieces, and slowly, one after another, your life and who you really are begins to actually take shape. And this is a puzzle that you will basically continue forming for the rest of your life, because you're always discovering new things, you're always meeting new people, and it all started with this anime for me that really set that groundwork. So that is why Fooly Cooly is my favorite anime. Once again, that might confuse some people there, but that's the reason I'll always put up on the higher tier. Not because it's the story itself is just amazing, but I watched this one anime at the exact time in my life when I needed it. First episode that I ended up recording, I must have watched the entire day. The next day, that's all I did, was just rewind that damn tape over and over and over and over again. And it continued on to the next day either. And like I kept that thing freaking sacred. I labeled it and I put it somewhere, and I'm like, don't you ever re-record this, because this is such an important tape to me. And it is the fact that I kept it to this day. And I probably will hang on to it for the rest of my life. Just I hope I can anyway, just to have a reminder of where it all started. So and it also helped me just get into anime in general, you know, because there's a bunch of stuff that I never would have discovered if not for Fooly Cooly. So if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's an amazing series, and I hope that you can take away from it maybe at least a fraction of what I did, because it really means something to me. It really does. It's the only anime that I've bought the DVD release of twice. I have the box set for about $60 that I ended up getting for my birthday, and the Gainax re-released it about 3 years ago for like a DVD format, and I have practically everything related to it. So yeah, it's a great series. Hope you'll check it out. Tekking101 signing out.